Welcome back to the channel. Continuing on with Nothing is New. You are not unique. You are not special. You have not found the master key to get away from your fate.
What's this? That's cornmeal. Yeah, these are the black beans, the Campbell. No. Yeah. We should make those.
Because Chris and I have had the same experience. We really know what the problems that each of us are facing, the frustrations, and living together brings us out of the isolation of single parents.
You see how they try to dance around? It's about isolation. It's not that they're struggling. It happens like this because it takes two individuals to raise children. Single child, multiple children. It takes two. So why do things, i.e. choice moms, I could do bad all by myself? Why try to pretend that everything can be solved by buddying up? Two single moms. This will solve all the woes that has befell you since whatever happened to have you being a single mother. And now this is around the summer of love, I want to say, you know, the hippy dippy summer of love and the real beginning of the sexual revolution, being free, doing whatever you want, how you want, when you want, with whoever you want. And it's continued on to now. But like I said, nothing is new. You're all recycling the same old ideas, pretending that this is something new, that this is well thought out, and you're gonna have different results.
Last night when you were talking to your mother, it really blew my mind because I couldn't figure out who you were talking to. You were sort of talking in like a different voice than I'd ever heard before. And then you said it was your mother. It just blew me away. Because like when I talk to my mother, it's like the stiffest way I could talk sort of to her. And you just sounded so happy, like some really, really old friend.
Chris and I met on a double date about 5 years ago. It was the same year Chris was undergoing her nervous breakdown type thing.
Nervous breakdown from what? The pressures of raising a child by oneself deliberately, or being the byproduct of, I don't want to listen to nobody. I want to do what I want. One of the two brought about a nervous breakdown.
Well, get regular margarine. It's butter, and it's not frozen. I don't want margarine. It's frozen. You can't spread it. When we got together again, we realized we wanted the same things at the same time. She's somebody I trusted and I could depend on, and that was something I wanted very much.
Trust and dependability. Looking outside of the person that you made a child with to find trust and dependability. Is that something that should be sorted and ironed out before the children are born, during the pregnancy, or after the child is born?
And it made a lot of sense to move in together. Sometimes when
Isn't that what's going on now? Shacking up 1, 2, 3 single mothers together, creating a community under the same roof. Doesn't that ring of what's going on now, what they're doing back? This has got to be around the 70s, 60s. Nothing is new. Repeating the same nonsense over and over again, as if it's original, as if it's well thought out, or you're going to have better results than those in the past who have tried it. Doesn't work.
I'm really getting on edge and thinking to myself, I can't stand two children. You know, it's bad enough having one here. I can't stand the other. I just have to spend about 2 seconds to remember what it was like with just me and Katie in the apartment. And it was just crazy. It's 100% better to have the two of us with the children.
But still, in one of my other videos, what's it called? Familiarity breeds contempt. When you don't have the responsible individual, the father, to give you peace, give you a break, let you recoup, revitalize yourself to deal with and understand, it's predominantly because it's a new human being. This is not a ready-made individual. When you have a child, they have quirks, they have their own personalities, they're selfish because they don't understand the sharing aspect. It's something that has to be drilled into them over and over again before it finally clicks, but they're not a walk in the park, and they're not supposed to be because they're brand new. And being very rough and jagged around the edges requires the two individuals who are vested with that child being molded into an asset to society. And it takes time, it takes patience, and it more importantly takes the two people who made it to be determined to mold that child. Wanting to say, oh, well, I'm going to have another single parent help me find peace of mind, so that I won't be overly stressed. That's ridiculous. They got their own problems. You got two people looking for a break, living together, trying to get a break.
Lived with men twice before, and in both cases, it meant being isolated into that unit.
Now, remember, she's talking about this isolation into a unit. She doesn't want the isolation of a man, woman, and child. She wants to be in the streets. She has a child that she's responsible for, but she doesn't want that. Now there's regret and a dislike for the child. But this is going to be solved by shacking up with somebody who may or may not be having the same feelings that she's having.
If I decided to live with a man again, I would, rather than go off to be with him, want him to come and be able to fit into what I'm developing now.
You see that? I want somebody to maintain my lifestyle. I don't want to merge myself into their life. I want them to come into my life and not manage, but help with what I have going on. Never mind what they got going on. That he has to fit me and my lifestyle, my expectations, period, dot. Does that work? Has that worked now? It doesn't. Y'all are not original. You're not the originators of these ideas. And yet and still, y'all fight tooth and nail to prove that this is going to work.
Yeah, what I'm building with Chris now. She's really like a sister. Really a sister, like I always thought I wanted. It was real bad a couple weeks ago. I mean, we were both depressed. She was depressed about working, and I was depressed about not working. And I started feeling like I was really getting stuck with doing all the things with the kids more. I know we had a reversal of the situation when the very first time we lived together, where I was working and Chris wasn't, and Chris really felt horrible. She really started to feel like the housewife. You know, when I'm working, we split. Everything gets split. I I pack the lunches one week and Chris packs the lunches the next week, and things get a whole lot more split up.
But isn't that always the case? We plan that this is going to work out completely contrary to when I was living with a man. Both of us are going to work. Both of us are going to split. It's going to be copacetic because both of us are doing what needs to be done. But then one ends up still having to rely on the other, much like they would have relied on their husband. And then there's misery. I'm working, you're staying at home. I don't feel like this relationship is working. It's the same thing with the man, except the man wants to provide. Not saying specifically for their situations, but husbands want to provide. But neither one of them really want to be married. But yet and still, they're still complaining about the things that would occur if they were married. Nothing has changed. It is the same drum beat over and over again. Nonstop, expecting different results. And isn't that the definition of insanity? Expecting different results from doing the same thing? Even though y'all don't know. But if you're researched and paid attention to other women from the past and say, well, what were they talking about? What were they doing? Not just the highlights, not just the bragging, Rosie the Riveter, I am woman, hear me roar, but really paid attention to women of the past and see what they were talking about. Am I following the same path? And if so, well, what were their results when it was all said and done?
I really love Jimmy, and we have a lot of fun together. But he really does limit my life a lot, and I try not to make my life totally around his, so that that's why I can look forward to his growing up. And I really have this heavy fantasy about him being 16 and I'll be around 35. And that we go out on the road together with knapsacks and hiking boots and down sleeping bags or whatever, and he takes off hitchhiking in one direction and I go in the other direction.
Say hello to my little friend. The hell!
What has ever worked out well when you're with it, looking forward to the day when you're without it? Outside of, like cancer, type 2 diabetes, I'm talking about outside of ailments, sicknesses. Don't y'all understand that the child is aware of that you can't wait to get rid of them? What if the child actually saw this video when they got older? What kind of impact would that have for them to hear their mother say, oh yeah, I really love him, but I just can't wait till he turns 16 so he can walk this way and I can walk that way and we could be done with each other. He's holding me back. Doesn't that sound familiar? I can't wait till I could be free again. Wasn't you free when you made Jimmy? Now you got Jimmy. Now you want to be free again. Doesn't this sound familiar to women of today?
The idea that I should be a mother and a father and psychological support and the money earner and everybody all at once is just too much sometimes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be too much because it's meant for two individuals, not your girlfriend who's happens to be raising children herself. It's a two-person job. Optimal. One person is supposed to be because of, I don't know, unforeseen death. Got two people working together to raise a child. sharing the burdens, sharing the happiness, sharing the triumphs. One person kicks the bucket for whatever reasons. Then it falls on that one person, but to deliberately do this is insanity. And then when you find yourself doing the mama, the daddy, and da-da-da, like she was saying, then it's, oh, well, it's too much. No shit, Sherlock. That's why you have the head coach, you have the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, the special team, and maybe the kicker. Because taking everything on all by yourself is insane. Raising a brand new human being with no idea of how the world works by yourself is insane to deliberately take on by yourself. But yet, generation over generation of women willingly, maliciously do this. Again, without studying, well, what did the women before me do? Without studying, what did women prior to me do? And what were their results? How did their life turn out 40, 50, 60 years old? No, just blind leading the blind. What you gonna do? I'm gonna do this by myself. What you gonna do? I'm gonna do this by myself. I don't need a man. You don't need a man. Let's do it by ourselves. No proof of concept. Just running blindly in the dark with a blindfold on. Then when you hit your shin on a trailer hitch, then you want to curse the world.
I first became interested in carpentry after my marriage split up and I was living on welfare. So I went down to this welfare program and told them I wanted to register for the carpentry course. And they said, no women. And I said, why? And they said, we don't have any bathrooms. So I told them that I would sue them if they didn't allow me into the course. And so I got in. In doing a good job is something that's real important to me as far as being a carpenter, because I can get a real solid satisfaction from that, something that I could never ever get from typing 50 pages of IBM statistics. And I feel a lot freer doing it than I would with most of the other options that were open to me. And not that this one was particularly open to me, but I've made it open to me.
And it always disturbs me when I hear women says, yeah, I get such great joy from doing X, Y, and Z. And it's never about the kids. She feels a good accomplishment from carpentry, but not from her kids. She wants to do stuff away from her kids in order to be fulfilled and show that she's accomplished something. Is that low-key knowing that she's going to be a failure as a mother? That's why she does something that, well, but look what I built over here. I did those steps all by myself. Child is just a horrible person in the streets. But you can't judge me by how the kid turned out. I mean, look at those steps. Kind of like degrees, getting all these degrees, starting these businesses, calling yourself an entrepreneur, but your kids, how did they turn out? How are they looking?
I think I'm in relationships now a lot is because I have a kid. I know that I'm really guilty about not having a male figure around for Katie. And I'm getting that a little more together because I don't want Hank to be Katie's father like I wanted that from Rick. But when Katie was 6 months old, I really wanted that. You know,
Right.
It was much more important.
I was getting a lot of
Isn't that something you're supposed to iron out before you had a child? How's it after the fact that, oh, well, I want somebody to be there, I need a father figure? And that happens to this day. Isn't that the argument for the stepdaddies? Isn't that what she's talking about? A stepdaddy? She wants a stepdaddy for her child. Wow, nothing's changed. Still same old, same old.
heavy hits from people about that I shouldn't see so many men, that I shouldn't go out with so many men, that it wasn't good for Jimmy. And
Wow, that
I
sounds
really resented that because
real familiar.
it was like saying that I should pick somebody to be Jimmy's father and just stay with that person, which is the same thing as saying get married and stay with that person for the sake of the child, rather than for the sake of me.
Oh, so bump the child. It's all about you. That doesn't sound familiar at all. Not at all. No woman talk about what about me. I want to be happy. I'm taking trips, going on vacations, leaving the kids home alone. They're eating good, got the nails, hair done, makeup, blowing taxes or child support on BBLs, tummy tucks. Nothing has changed.
And what gave me a good feeling about myself and made me happy.
But at the same time, I know somewhere there's still that whole feeling of, I don't know, stigma of raising alone. Like, I feel like you're really proud of sort of how your mother raised you alone.
Yeah.
And my image of mother raising somebody alone is sort of shadowed. And I mean, it's just the way I was brought up, you know, with a very straight kind of background that way.
Yeah.
I can even see the strengths you have from being raised that way. Mm-hmm. Like, I think you're more independent because you watched a woman your whole life take care of you sort of in a way.
How is she independent living with another woman, both of them with children? How is she independent? How are you looking up to somebody saying they're independent, but y'all are living together because y'all were struggling by yourselves as single mothers? And praising, well, your mother was a single mom, and wow, she made you such a great person, so there's nothing wrong. Nothing has changed.
One thing which was probably the earliest thing I figured out about being a mother, was that if I wasn't happy, if Bernie wasn't happy, if Mommy wasn't happy, there's no way Jimmy was going to be happy.
Unpopular opinion, but my kids don't come first. I do.
That video is 100% correct, and people with children won't understand. My grandmother told me something on my wedding day that I've carried with me since, and it's been almost 10 years. If you are the cup your family pours from, what will they be able to get from you if you are empty? Nothing. You can't pour from an empty cup. So my cup first. I make sure that I'm filled, that I am okay, that my needs are met, so that I can be the vessel for everyone else in my family. These crazy, wild, unrealistic expectations that we have on mothers, that we should essentially be martyrs for our family, it needs to end. We are human, we are people. You deserve time and space and opportunity to do things that are just for you, that make you feel good just because. You don't have to kill yourself because somebody calls you mom.
Selfish. Selfish to the core. If I'm not happy, the hell with Jimmy. Jimmy will never be happy if I'm not happy. Bump the child that you brought into this world. I'm going to do me. whole bunch of strangers. Ooh, yeah, I'm jumping the gun. But yeah, it's nothing has changed from the Summer of Love and the other video back to Ellis Island, the 1890s. Nothing has changed, and it has deteriorated to what we have now.
If I think about, the difference between what I envision as my home environment, the one I want to create for me and Jimmy, and what I had when I was growing up, or what Chris had, or anybody else I know had, is that I don't expect it to ever revert back to a nuclear family unit. Most of my vision about creating a life tends toward, for lack of a better word, extended family. I want Jimmy to be living with other children, and since I don't expect to have other children, I assume that what I'll do is continue to live with Chris and whatever other people with children we come across, and have Jimmy be able to be around a lot of adults and a lot of children, because I think that makes a much happier person.
This she talking about like the commune life, like cults. When you have one charismatic leader, and he has a whole bunch of single mothers or soon to be single mothers living with a bunch of strangers, and they bring all their kids, and they have all their kids. And then it spirals out of control because the strange men that she says she wants around her son start getting handy with the kids. And things spin out of control. And then it's news at 11. Oh, I got sucked into a cult. And yes, they did things to me. I was an unwilling participant. And not only did they do things to me, but they did things to Jimmy and all of the other kids. And all of this sprung from the Summer of Love. Just heels up. Whoever slides in between them thighs, I'm happy to meet you. Doesn't sound anything like now. There has not been anything in the news of charismatic leaders with a whole bunch of females bringing their kids and lots of unfortunate events involving the children. Anyway, that's all I got. Like I said, nothing has changed. You are not original. You are not a special snowflake in the wind. You are a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy. And all of this is just to say, stop. Y'all got to stop. I know you're not going to stop anytime soon, but eventually y'all got to stop this, because this is proof that it doesn't work. So much negativity has come from this mindset, from this irresponsible, selfish behavior. Y'all got to stop this. It's not helping anybody. Man, woman, child. Everybody is suffering because of this selfish behavior. Anyway, that's all I got. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, and I'll be back.
You take care. Still love
Got
you.
another one
Even though you're a rotten
for you
bill,
later.
still love you. Take care.